Zan, you talk in the chapter The Way of Love about this idea of symmetry. And you say, those who are truly attracted to you on a heart level are the ones who are attracted to you.
Yes. That's an assumption I have. That is a theory I have. And I think that rings true. I mean, without going into, describing the whole thing, well, I will describe the whole thing. We have these layers of fog over our eyes. And so that, I call it a cloud of horniness for men. They have this, it clouds their judgments, their decisions, their level of understanding. And because they have that, because it's overriding emotion for them, they focus on almost every girl as being a possible candidate for that. And so my theory is that we chase down a lot of potential partners who are not really aligned with our values, our ideals, because we have this cloud of horniness we can't see for real. We can't see. We have this veil covering our eyes. And if we could see that, I do believe in the symmetry of it all. And you guys have said it in our conversation the last few days, where you said there's that one time you just before the cameras rolled, you said there's that Greek girl at a certain time, and just there's something about her just really caught me up. And I do believe in the symmetry of that. If you could see clearly, and you had a real strong connection, if you could see clearly, you wouldn't be necessarily attracted to all these girls. But the one over there's something really, a strong connection there, a strong draw. And I believe if and this is my theory, that it's symmetrical. That she would adore you too. Did I explain that well?
Seems to me that this whole theme is the biggest leap of faith
that
you're asking men to do in the whole book.
Yeah. Well, how can they? If you've got a cloud of horniness, it's easy for somebody to come along and say, "Hey, stop being horny," right? But that overrides your thoughts. That influences the way you move through your evenings, your weekends, and it influences how you interact with people. And so it's easy to say it, just like anything else. Like, be yourself.
So is that the difference for you? Like, a guy would go to a club and try and approach 10 women and hope by the time he's spoken to 10 women that one of them will like him enough to date him or go home with him.
Yeah. Well, he might be sincere in thinking that you talked to 10 women and the 10th one said, "Yes, I like you too." And it might be a sincere thing where he really believes, "Wow, I like this girl a lot." But then, 3 months, 6 months, whatever into it, he's like, I was blind. Love is blind, they say. And I didn't really see the real her.
I couldn't really see the real her.
I couldn't see the real her because, well, you don't know why, but...
And you say that, well, the cloud of horniness is one thing, and you've got the phrase, if all our issues and expectations and presumptions were somehow magically removed, the ones we find ourselves attracted to would be the ones attracted to us.
Yes. That's my scientific theory.
So what specifically are those issues and expectations and presumptions that you talk about?
Well, our layers of need and seeking validation and comparing to relationships in the past and our, all these psychological things like, our relationship to our mother or our father, all these things all kind of layer in there. And it makes you think, well, and I'm lonely. And I don't have a girl in my life. And so this girl looks like is going to solve that. Because we can't see clearly. We can't really see maybe that she's not a nice person. Or she's just not our type. We think we're in love. That happens a lot. We think we're in love. I fell in love with this girl. But all kinds of things masquerade for that. And that's just and maybe you can't get rid of all the layers. Maybe that's like everything else, a pipe dream, But I think it is my sense of it that is very symmetrical, and it's all our relationships are asymmetrical. One loves more than the other. One says I love you first, waits for the other one to say. One's waiting for the phone to ring. Is she gonna call? Is she gonna call? Should I call her? She's not thinking the same thing necessarily. So it's, there's all kinds of proverbs about that.
But if you see clearly, that would likely be not a problem.
Yeah, if you could see clearly, you wouldn't be attracted to the random girl that you met in the bar last weekend and texting her and like chasing her all over the map. You'd be like, that's not my girl. In other words, if you didn't have that cloud of horniness and that cloud of expectation, and cloud of all that baggage that you're walking around with, then you would say, that's a nice girl. I like it. That's nice. And you might still see the girl, but you would know you'd have a clear understanding
Yes.
of your real motives there. And then there's the one girl that just pops out of the scenery, and you guys have had those experiences where it's just, you talk about Brazil all the time. You talk about your experiences. You talk about your experiences, and I know it too. Every guy can relate to it. Wow, that one girl, there was just something about her. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
She's just shining like an angel in my eyes, and that's incredible. And I can't stop thinking about her.
I've seen it a lot taking these way of approaching workshops that I used to do a few years back, and we'd go to a bar or down the street with a guy, and he'd start talking to girls to overcome his shyness and learn how to celebrate women and put into practice all these things that you write about.
Yeah.
And he would talk to 10 different women and say, you know what, I forgot about all of them, but there was that one girl at 4:45 outside Starbucks or whatever, and she just took my breath away. And all those girls walked away and didn't really want to speak to me, but that one, she loved everything that I said.
Yeah.
Even though she had a boyfriend and I won't see her again, it's like, and he'll spend the rest of the night thinking about that one girl. And he'll say, but she wasn't even the hottest one. Don't know what it was.
Yeah. We all understand that.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here this whole time.
Do you have any thoughts or ideas about what that symmetry actually is?
No, I think yeah.
Good.
No, but yes.
No.
Yeah, I think it is our abstract again, our heart's desire, and that true chemistry of two people really adoring each other, really being attracted to each other, really desiring each other in a physical way, in a mental way, and just liking the smile, or liking any of these. We could talk all day about the what attracts us, but it's not just the figure of the girl. It's not just her hourglass shape, or it's just something about her spirit, and something in your spirit that's drawing her. I really do think it's symmetrical, man. If you could, and women have the same trouble too, because they've got a veil over their eyes too. They're looking for Mr. Right, and they're comparing everybody they meet. Owen, is this Mr. Right? Is that Mr. Right? Is that Mr. Right? Whatever kind of layers and expectations they have too.
So she would dismiss her heart's desire because he doesn't tick all the boxes.
Or not recognize it in the sea of men, right?
Yeah.
Women go on dates and they're hoping. How many, you talk to women who are in the dating world, and they talk about being in the dating world, and they go on dates, and they're hoping maybe this is an option, because they have no clue either. So they're fishing in the dark too, right? And then, so that it's not that they're not going to recognize the man that they're really attracted to, but they might not see him because they're dating you and you and you, because they're scattershot trying to fill this void in their life, just like us.
So that's the fog. Their fog.
It's nobody's fault.
Fog.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not condemning all women for
British. It's their fault. Yeah, it's their fog. Sorry. It's their fault.
Yeah. So there's a land of women and a sea of men, huh?
There we go.
And there's fog above everything.
And the sea is lapping up against the shore of the land of women. Hey, I like that.
If it's lucky, the rest of the sea is just out there. Hasn't seen land in months.
And a lot of the land is pretty dry. It's just the edges, just the coast that where we connect.
Back to the symmetry thing, our friend Nikos told me once that your soulmate, the person who is your soulmate, is somebody whose life force has evolved from the same particle that came from the Big Bang.
Nico.
You wax poetical and scientifical at the same time.
Yeah, he's the artist.
Yeah.
But
that
we all
kind
did,
of-
though. If the Big Bang is a accurate theory,
So
we're all the same particle.
That's right.
But closer on the family tree, I guess.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
More your sister than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, soulmate. There's a word, huh?
What do you think of that?
Same as everybody else thinks about it. I do have this sense that this concept of soulmate is what's the phrase? Love the one you're with. You know? Yeah. What was the old Islander said? Hey, they're all crazy. Just pick one. But there's a truth in that. Like, and I've said this. And I always use your country as an example. I've said it to guys. Listen, somebody could pick up Rich. An alien ship could come down here and land. Take him up into this spaceship right here through the roof, and land him in Australia, with no way to get back here. And in the t-shirt and pants he's wearing. And he's thinking about a girl from England or from Romania that he met, and he's like, wow, I really like this girl. Plop him down in the middle of Australia there. 5 years later, if we went to stumble upon him in Australia, I said, you're here? Yeah, I don't know how I got here, but here I am. He'd have a girl he's thinking about, an Australian girl, that he's in love with. Can't stop dreaming about her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, unless you go down the path of predestination, that means that he was predestined to be there 5 years from now to meet the one of his dreams, his soulmate that was meant from the Big Bang or from creation, whatever, and he discovered her there, and that was part of the predestined plan. Who knows? Philosophers have been talking about these things forever.
What I've come to think from countless adventures and a hell of a lot of head scratching about women that I've been with or fallen in love with is that this whole question of, oh, was this really a soulmate, or was this just like my mother projection again, or was like this really a good one that I lost, or like there's no way of knowing at all any of that when you're in the middle of it.
But even this guy on the train is asked the question late in the book, and I can't remember where the interviewer was saying to him,
Put it marked.
do you have it marked?
Yeah.
I would like to say it clearly if I can.
Not sure if it's in the celebration part.
Yeah, I can just say it anyway. Where she's saying to him, maybe you left her behind. In all your travels, are you looking for this, are you looking for an alabaster girl, this girl of your dreams? And she says, maybe you left her behind in your travels. And he goes, no, there's a thought. Because even he doesn't know. All this studied, practiced, understood, intuition type of knowledge and experience he has. And who knows? Right? Affairs of the heart.
So how do men get rid of this cloud of horniness and the women that promise a shared future? How do you tap into more the heart level? I don't know.
Well, who knows? I mean, can you will it away? Can you be aware? That's a good question. Can you be a man be aware that maybe he's not seeing clearly? Or is it the same thing you talked about? Like you can have all kinds of coaching theories in your mind and affirmations, and you fall in love with a girl who breaks your heart, and that trumps all of your studied mental preparations and practice, and because you're sad and you're hurt, and those emotions trump your intellect, right? And your state can't help. Well, maybe I'm wrong in this, but your state can't help in being sad. No matter how much you look in the mirror and say it's going to be okay, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, even though you know in your head, and you know for certain that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Right now, you don't feel it, so you can tell yourself that all day. So it's kind of like this too. It's like, it's you. I can say, or somebody can say, listen, or you can learn this, that I'm not really attracted to this girl, but I have this horniness, and it looks like my ideal girl, and you can talk yourself out of it all day. But how do you remove that sense of longing and that sense of sexual desire in your heart? How do you? Is it possible? I don't know.
I think what seems to happen.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, in my experience, it's like growing up with a lot of fog, or a lot of layers of the onion, and through every experience of love, or every disaster, or every new realization, it's like a little bit of that fog leaves, and I start getting to see more clearly, and getting to see my old patterns and my old habits quicker and quicker, and getting to see different aspects of her quicker and quicker. And it's almost as if like this lost little boy, really desiring a lover, a woman, anybody, has been left behind, and there's a much more reasonable, rational adult at the wheel, which can see things a lot quicker and make much more pragmatic, sensible solutions. And it feels that even after that, it's coming to a point where actually that's being replaced by a much more innocent longing again.
Yeah, it goes back full circle.
Yeah, and being able to appreciate more women in more different ways than I could when I was in a much more sensible place.
But I'm agreeing with you. But that's a process.
Yes.
So you can't short circuit it.
It's a learning.
That's a journey you have to go on.
Yeah.
You can't just read about it or be coached about it and now, okay, I get that. Now I'm going to get out of my head and get out of and stop feeling this and remove this cloud, and you can be aware of it. But you've got to have that. You said that, like the onion skin layers just slowly peel away and you get a bit more. It's like this, and I've likened it to this before. It's like you're going up a mountain in fog, and you go higher and higher and higher until eventually the fog slowly starts to dissipate. And it becomes, you get some kind of a clarity because you're higher in your understanding.
Yeah.
And you can see a little farther. You can, So it's like that. But while you're down and mulling around in the valley, all you can see is like.
Just got to go to the next woman.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
And hope that's the one.
Yeah.
And hope that this lands and becomes a nice relationship. Or if our heart is wanting to go and get laid, or our heart is wanting to have a life companion, we would like to have a woman in our life to travel with, and we hope that's the one. And we try it out, take it for a test drive for 3 months.
So it's like this, if we're on a spiritual journey, everyone's going up that mountain. We either go alone and stop off at different houses along the way, or we meet someone and go up together.
But a lot of people are just mulling around at the base of the mountain.
Yeah, looking through the fog.
Just wandering around.
It's like that.
They have no curiosity and desire to go higher, or they don't know that it's available.
And it's like when you write about Monet, who drew the same painting again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we go through the same relationship, living out the same.
We live out the
again
same
and again
relationship
and
over. It looks different every time. Sure looks different, but it turns out it's the same patterns, the same thing. Sisyphus, is rock, rolling it up, coming back down again.
Like throughout the whole book, we're talking about just the beauty you see in women and how you want to relate with them, so that you call that forth. And I imagine that kind of clarity you have in your interactions and in your way of seeing women
personally?
and wanting women to be is something that's cleared up. Like year after year after year after year, you've had more clarity in all your communication.
Yeah, because I did my 10,000 hours.
That's your trip up the mountain.
Yeah, I have a much, much, much clearer idea of how I want how I want my life to be arranged and how I want my life to look. You know, than I used to, for sure. And I was like everybody else, like wandering around trying to, can't see my hand in front of my face because of the fog. And everything's all kind of like shapes. You see shape. It looks like a girl to me. It looks like shaped like a girl. I like it. I like this girl. I'm gonna fall in love with her. I'm gonna send her messages. I'm gonna wish she was around and be despondent when she doesn't respond, and be upset because she didn't send me a message back, and blame myself. And she's just the vague shape of a girl. But we think that's, oh yeah. When I was young, I used to project myself onto women, and I would meet a girl, start to date her, and I would be thinking, I have to make this work, otherwise I'm a failure. And I would be thinking about her all the time, and the community has this convenient term called one-itis. It can only think about the one. And when that breaks, falls apart, you're crying in your beer for a period of time, and then you get the one. This is the one for sure. That one, no. This is the one. And you just go through this pattern.
I see this the same, but differently, if that makes any sense. Like, I get the process of, I think this is a theme, that there's one level where you're trying to add new experiences and skills and knowledge, and there's another level where the heart of it is stripping it away, and actually stripping away the stuff that gets in your natural state. I think of this, as I do with a lot of things, in music or poetry, these artistic things. Sometimes words or a song really hits you here.
Yeah.
And there's some songs you go, oh, it's a nice song, I like the beat, I like the melody, it's fun to dance to. And some songs or bits of nature hit you here. And I think about someone in my life, it's always been that, it hit me here. And yes, of course, there's a physical attraction and that stuff, but when you feel it, it's almost like your heart's out your chest. I've actually felt that. And it's not something I've consciously done, it's just been like, boom. And when we first met Jordan, we talked about this.
You had the same feeling?
I remember I was saying something. Yeah, we had the same feeling. Sorry. I think you're the one, Jordan. Right. Oh man.
It's just your cloud of horniness, man. It's so big you can even see whether it is an outline of a girl or an
outline of Jordan.
A little bit bold, but she'll do.
I'm sorry to derail your thought.
That's funny though. What was I saying? But yeah, so even in those moments, you can say the most stupid things, as I often do. But if it comes to that place, it comes across as more natural. It clicks, and it's quite endearing. I think as men, we definitely put all the pressure on us. It's like we got to say this, do this, or it's our fault. And sometimes it's the right thing. It's more, as you said, it's about ease. It's about flow. It's natural.
Have you ever had, any of you had the thing that this happened to you, where you see a girl somewhere, and there's just something about her that no matter what, I've got to talk to her.
Yeah.
That, in other words, all your hesitations and all your other stuff, you cast it aside and throw caution to the wind and go, right? A few times, not very many, right? So imagine if those moments where even all your hesitations and all your self-talk and all your fear of rejection don't even matter. Maybe those are the real moments, and everything else is just you approximating, just talking to the next girl. And so when you hesitate and see a pretty girl you like, but you don't approach her. But I know that there's, because this happens with men all the time. Not all the time, but a few times in their life, where no matter what, I have to track this one down. I have to.
It's like you were saying with the subcommunication, the eye contact across the room, and that golden thread is just so strong.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way you cannot act on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen very often. But you see a lot of pretty girls that you like to approach. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's like that in a lot of areas of life. You feel like you come to a place, it's like, no, I'm meant to be here longer. Or you come to a certain job, it's like you feel that. It's this deep, deep intuition that's more primal than all logic. I mean, people laugh at me, I go through my rationalization, I come up with pros and cons or something, and I always go with my first instinct, and I just waste 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to go with what my instinct said.
That's true.
And there's something, I don't know, I think it's something we should trust more in that.
Yeah.
We don't in society. We're reading our Venn diagrams and our models and our pros and cons.
It's like
and rationalize it.
when you see something that you want to buy, and you really want to buy it, but you're rationalizing yourself away from it, the pros and cons. But you know you're going to buy it anyway, right? I'm going to buy it. Like,
So true.
yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
One of the biggest learnings I ever had with this whole theme of the cloud of horniness and the hot woman and the beautiful woman thing was, I was saying a little while ago that we've actually got different bodies. So this is an idea I got, I think, from meditation, where it's like we've got the concrete body, which is this, we can see it and touch it and feel it. And then we've got this subtle body, which is a mixture of all the energies and emotions and feelings that go all the way through, and that's invisible. But we can feel it if we learn how to tune into it, and a lot of people don't. But if you're like fully, you can feel the energy in you or the emotions, then it's like, oh, there's another me that's in the same place, but it's also moving around. And I remember being at that party in London with you a couple of years ago, and I met a woman there where it was like the physical, like to look at her skin and her body shape and all that kind of stuff, felt no attraction towards her in the conventional hot woman sense. And yet it was like all of the feelings and energy inside me was saying yes. And it was so, and I thought, you know what, screw it, I'll go and talk to her and chase this down and see what happens with this. So rather than being like relying on how I looked on my physical appearance and going after a woman with physical appearance, I trusted that like the energy body in me and the energy body in her were actually in sync, and they were attracted to each other. And I let that be the guide.
The driving force.
Yeah.
Not the physical.
Not like what my eye could
Right.
see and then my rational interpretation of that. I'd be like, let's go and do what my energy feels like doing. It sounds like woo, I guess, for a lot of the
My
viewers.
shadow
but
is
it makes
leaning in that direction.
Yeah, it makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's like, oh, actually, there's much higher chance of resonance there. If I'm looking for the woman who looks like the kind of profile of woman that I should be having in my life, then I'm going to go down that primrose path, right, of always going to the hot girl.
Right.
But by following like this invisible, spooky feeling energy thing, actually and I've been doing that consistently over the last couple of years, and it's got me so much quicker to women that are so much better aligned and connected with who I am. Trusting that the resonance, like the vibration of me and the vibration of her, and if that fits.
I like that phrase, the resonance, because that's what it is. You're resonating on the same frequency. There's a vibration that's calling you from across the room, from across the, and you feel it, and it's strong. And she feels it too. There's the symmetry.
Yeah, and it's beyond skin.
It's beyond skin for sure.
Yeah,
it's intellect and these things.
No, because that's your physical eyes are blurred by your emotion of horniness. Every girl looks like your girl. Wow, that one too. Whoa.
Is that maybe what love at first sight is, to use a trite phrase? And when people talk about it, they feel that immediately.
I think it's easy to dismiss these kinds of. I think most people are not tuned in enough to actually know what they're feeling most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
But when there are severe cases of love at first sight, like that moment we're talking about with the thing here, even like the most numb person in the world can tell when he's really, really in love.
No, that's the same as what he was just saying before about everything gets cast aside and you just go for it.
For those few.
Because it hits so strongly.
Yeah, it's like, wow, it overwhelms you. It overwhelms all your normal caution and fears.